Let's face it, we all know that negative self-talk is bad. But if you could see physical damage caused by it with your own eyes, then would you take it more seriously? People say words have power. So I ran an experiment because I wanted to see for myself if there was any truth to it. So here's what I did. I set up 3 identical jars of cooked rice. And on the first jar, I made a label and I put all these wonderful, loving words. On the second jar, I put a different label with harsh and negative words. And on the third jar, I put no label at all. And the idea is simple. I wanted to see if the words or the energy behind the words would have any impact on the rice at all. So, little confession here. I had an inkling that something might happen because quite a few years back, I actually tried a similar experiment to this. But it was different in that I didn't use words. I used images. I had a positive image and a negative image. And I got to thinking, first of all, would words be different than images? And was that just a fluke? Would I get the same results again? Was it duplicatable? And finally, are words enough to even impact the rice? I mean, we all know, last I checked, that rice can't read words. So, how does that work? So I tried it again. And I'm going to tell you, actually, the results were slightly different this time, a little unexpected. And in this video, you're going to see everything that happened. You might start thinking about how the negative words that you say to yourself might matter a lot more than you realize. Hi, if we haven't met yet, I'm Catherine. I am on a mission to overhaul my life, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. Okay, before I give you the results, let's just back up for a second. This whole idea came from a fascinating study I stumbled on, years ago, like from the 90s, the water experiments by Dr. Masaru Emoto. So Dr. Emoto believed that water could actually respond to the energy of words or thoughts or emotions. In his experiments, he exposed water to positive words like I love you or thank you. And when frozen, the crystals formed these beautiful, intricate patterns. When the water was exposed to negativity, words like you make me sick and you fool, the crystals turned chaotic and ugly and broken. And if you look down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, I especially love how he discovered the ugly crystals from the polluted Japanese river were transformed into beautiful crystals when the water was preyed on. Oh my gosh, wow, that is so cool. Okay, let's go. Here's what I did. I started out by washing 3 mason jars so that all 3 jars would start out clean. I bought a box of plain old white instant rice and started making the rice. By the way, in case you decide to try to do this at home, and I sure hope you do, I used way too much rice. Okay, I put 3 cups of dry rice in there, thinking in my mind that I was going to put 1 cup of rice in each jar. And of course, that made way too much rice because rice doubles in size when it's cooking. Once the rice was boiling, as per the instructions, I covered it and took it off the heat to set. I went outside to the lanai and I decided to start making the labels for the jars. I wrote down everything I could possibly think of to put on the jar. So starting with the negative words, I wrote, you're fat, you suck, you're pathetic, not enough, not good enough, you failed, you never do anything right, nothing ever works out for you, loser, hopeless, stupid, lazy, slob, you never amount to anything. You can't, you're ugly, no one loves you, and you're old and disgusting, I hate you, you're a jerk. Wow, that was a mouthful. Yeah. Okay, on to the positive words. I love you, thank you, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you can do anything you set your mind to. You're perfect exactly as you are. You're kind and thoughtful and loving. You're a good friend and a great mother and wife. You got this. You can. You're young and vibrant and you make the world a better place. And I even put 3 little hearts on it. Okay, so the rice was ready and I couldn't seem to stir the rice and hold the camera at the same time, which is why I am not a vlogger. I proceeded to put 1 cup of rice into each jar. I had 3 jars, and, upon watching this later, it dawned on me that I went to all that effort to sanitize the jars, and then I used my finger to level off the rice. But in fairness to me, I did do it on all 3 jars, so I guess they're still all the same. Okay, next I took the labels and I started taping them to the jars. So 2 out of the 3 jars had a label. One was the positive words, one was the negative words, and then the third jar had no words on it at all because that was the control. I then put all 3 jars into the pantry. Note, I did not put them in the refrigerator. I wanted them to spoil because let's face it, cooked rice spoils in the pantry. And then it was time to wait. If you find things like this fascinating, like I do, and maybe you're working on yourself too, like I am, please subscribe to my channel and introduce yourself in the comments. I really want to meet you. We need to all work together. We need to raise each other up. We need to give each other love. Okay, it's been 2 months and the results are in. Okay, today's the day. I started this experiment on February 27th, and today is April 27th, so it's been 2 months. Let's look at the plain white bottle. It says no words on it. Amazingly, it still looks pretty white, much to my shock. Next, let's take a look at the positive words, all the love that we give ourselves. You can see this is the one that says, I love you. This one is still white. I mean, it still looks good. Finally, let's look at the ugly, negative self-talk. And this is quite surprising because this negative self-talk affected the rice completely different than I was expecting. You can see this is the one that says, you're fat, you suck. First of all, look at the color. It is clearly yellow. And I don't know what the heck is happening here, but it's got this giant slushy liquid. And look what it looks like. It is totally disgusting. So when I did this in the past, I'm going to find the video and overlay it right here because I did this in the past once with images and I used Mother Teresa for positive and I used Hitler for negative and I didn't even have a neutral one. And I'm going to show you that right here. And the rice was totally different. It stayed white. It stayed sticky. It didn't get all this liquid. It just had really dark, black, ugly spots. But I think it's pretty clear, regardless of how it acted, even though I'm curious why it acted differently with the negative words as opposed to the image. But it is clearly, let me pull these two side by side. Like, what the heck is going on there? It is gross and disgusting. And we need to think about what that means. You know, it really is a little mind-boggling. If words taped to a jar of rice can irrationally create all of this crazy, disgusting decay in the rice, way more than the other jars, what could it be doing to our bodies? I mean, really? Einstein is quoted as saying everything is energy and that's all there is to it. So just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's not real. So if Einstein is right, and let's face it, pretty smart guy, and if words and thoughts really are energy, isn't it logical that that negativity wouldn't just stay in our mind, but also sink down into our body? On a cellular level, what could it be doing to the beautiful molecules of water inside our bodies? Could it be laying the foundation for disease or accelerating disease? So obviously, I'm not a scientist, and this is not a controlled laboratory and scientific experiment. It's just a fun observation, but it feels very poignant to me. It's pretty hard to deny that something happened there. And when you see it with your own eyes, and in my case, I've seen it twice now, a little bit different each time, but same outcome, it's pretty hard to deny. And you know what? I really encourage you to try it. It's the easiest thing on the world in the world, but it's one thing to watch a YouTube video about it, but when you do it yourself and you see it with your own eyes, it's pretty hard to ignore. What if? Let's talk about negative self-talk here for a minute. Just what if? You might think you're just venting into thin air and no one is listening, but what if every cell in your body actually is listening very closely, way more than you realize? What if the truth is you're not just talking to yourself, you're shaping yourself, and every thought matters, every word matters, because the bottom line is this: if you talk to yourself in ways that you would never speak to someone you loved, maybe it's time to have some new conversations.